I'm asking the court, these are nonviolent offenses. He is remorseful. Again, he's taking responsibility. I'm asking the court to please consider placing him on a community control sanction, giving him an opportunity to go to Matt Talbot and put the ball in his court, Your Honor. If he doesn't follow through, and I know his history isn't promising. I know he's had probation violations in the past, but if he doesn't follow through, then he knows that he's got up to 2 years hanging over his head here. So I'm asking this court to give him an opportunity to show this court that he is serious this time, that he wants to turn his life around and hopefully sober up. Thank you, Your Honor.
Jamie, I have a question about on the prior record.
Yes.
On page 9 of the report, there's a attempted escape and a non-support, and then under the non-support it says went in on December 18th of 23 and got out in October of 20, or I'm sorry, 13 to 20.
So that's what it had on the page from the ODRC. It appears he went in and then he would be released back on parole, but I don't have and was never able to get the parole dates. So all the dates that he went in and
Due to the efficiency of the DRC?
Correct.
Because then in the interim there was another sentence in June of 16
Yes.
through June of 17.
Yes, so his final date of discharge from that case, when he finally completed all, either his prison time or parole time, was October 24th of 2020.
All right, Mr. Brzezowski, what do you want to tell me?
Your Honor, I just, like Mr. Watson said, I ain't proud of my record. I've been struggling my whole life with a drug addiction. I've been on, just placed in situations that I had some control over and made terrible decisions. I was also placed in situations I had no control over and made good decisions. And this one is just another opportunity, Your Honor. I'd like to show you that I can be probationable and I can be monitored. I can succeed, and I will, and I can sober up.
Then why haven't you? If you can do all that, why haven't you done it?
I've still been hanging on to records of my past, in which I've made an attempt, and actually I've cut 2 people out of my life since I've been in this county. Actually, in Cuyahoga also, I haven't contacted the woman I was involved with. I haven't contacted her.
Who's that?
That was Lori Wood.
How'd you get involved in this scam with these checks?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I found a bag on a job site with a checkbook in it.
What job site?
It was I forget where I was at. I think it was like in Middleburg Heights or somewhere, Wycliffe or some. It was a commercial. It was a commercial job site.
Who were you working for?
I was working for Novax at the time.
What's Novax?
It's a painting company. The union that I was laid off
Okay.
because of my drug problem.
So you're working at this job site in, where'd you say, Fairview?
I believe it was Wycliffe. I think, I'm not sure.
Didn't you
And
say?
I found a bag. I found a duffel bag, backpack,
Didn't you
and it
say
had a
Fairview
checkbook in it.
first time?
Excuse me?
Didn't you say Fairview the first time?
No.
I believe you said Middleburg Heights, Your Honor.
Middleburg Heights, and then now it's Wycliffe.
I'm not sure where it was, Your Honor.
Okay, so what did you find?
I found a duffel bag, a backpack with a checkbook in it, and the job site was empty because we're the last ones on the job, so it was basically just in a pile of sweaters and jackets. So I kept it. I kept the backpack. I kept it in the vehicle for a while. I probably sat on it a couple months, and rummaging through my stuff, I found it. And basically I was, you know, at that time using, I had been released from jail, I believe.
So,
And I went back to the woman I told you about, to that house,
to what house?
to my address that I have.
Okay.
And this, like I said, I haven't made no attempts.
All right, so you,
I got talked into signing the checks. And I didn't realize the severity of the situation.
oh, yeah, come on.
I thought it would go against my
You've been
credit
in
report or
enough trouble
collections.
for drugs and thieving that you knew exactly what the hell was going on.
I didn't realize the severity of the felony, the offense. I thought, like I said, I thought it was gonna go against my collection or credit report. I wasn't that smart to know that I was committing a crime.
So you're either in Middleburg Heights or Wickliffe and you find this duffel bag full of checks of a company that's in Willoughby, right?
I don't know where the company's at. I can't even remember what check, what
Okay,
it was.
So, and then the duffel bag sat in the car for a while?
Yeah.
Months? And
About a
then-
month or so.
And then you decide to do what? To take one of these checks? What did you do?
Yeah, I took one of the checks and signed it and made a withdrawal.
What do you mean you signed it? It was a blank check, right?
I put my name on it,
Okay.
signed it to me.
So you signed it, paid to the order of you, filled in $2,000, and then what'd you do? Sign the bottom of the check then?
Yeah, I believe so.
And
This is so long ago, it's, you know,
who's Dusty Mays?
I have no idea.
Where's Ace Cash Express?
I'm not sure. It's a check cashing place, I'm sure. Nonetheless, it was foolish, Your Honor.
Who's Constance Wagner?
I believe that was probably another check I wrote.
Okay. Well, who's Constance Wagner?
I have no idea.
Why did you make out a check to Constance Wagner?
I was using the money to get the drugs, Your Honor.
I know, why Constance Wagner?
I'm not sure.
Why did you make a check out to Dusty Mays?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Okay. Why don't you have a discussion with him, and he can decide if he wants to keep lying to me,
I mean, I don't know those.
or if he wants to be straight with me, okay? Seems curious to me that you wrote out checks to two females, presented the checks to cash. Did you cash any of the checks?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'd probably, if I have this case, I'm sure they went through then.
You mean, so what you're telling me, you've done this so many times that you can't remember this one?
No, Your Honor, it's been quite some time that has passed, and I apologize.
It was a year ago. Okay. So you had these checks in your possession for a month, at least a month, right?
Yes.
It went from several months to a month. And,
And I know about the tech company is the checks that I had in my possession.
right, that you found at some
Yes, during the course of me,
some building that was not in use when you were on a painting job.
yes,
Okay. So presumably TKR Tech, whose checks they were, have been out a bunch of checks for at least a month, up to several months, and didn't report it until the day you walked in to try to cash it on July 20th of 23. That seems unlikely to me, that they would just be missing checks and not know they're missing
well,
checks.
I believe that the people at the check cashing place knew that I wasn't who I was saying I was.
I mean, they got clued in that you weren't Dusty Mays?
Sure,
Imagine that. So you were doing this completely on your own, is that right?
no, Your Honor.
No, then
No,
what?
I mean, I was being driven. I had somebody drive me,
Who?
a friend,
Who?
Antonio Harris, what was his name?
Who's Antonio Harris?
He was the one that took me to the check cashing place.
I know, but he didn't just pluck you out of thin air and drive you to the check cashing place. So who is Antonio Harris?
He was somebody that I was in contact with that showed me where to cash the check.
Okay.
How to cash
How were
the
you in
check.
contact with him?
To a drug dealer
When did you get in contact with him?
prior that month.
Okay. When you found the
Probably
checks?
a week before I cashed it.
Okay.
Probably a week or so before I attempted to cash it.
All right, well, so what'd you tell Antonio?
I'd give him money if he drove me. And he told me I would be able to cash him there.
So Antonio's the one that directed it to Ace Cash Express?
Yeah, I didn't have a vehicle.
Where is Ace Cash Express?
I'm not sure.
Is it in Ohio
Yes,
somewhere?
yes, Your Honor.
Is it in Cleveland
It's in
somewhere?
Cuyahoga, probably, or Painesville out here. I'm not sure.
Do you have any idea, Jamie, where Ace Cash Express is?
I do not.
Could be Mayfield.
So first you went to 185th, right? You know, this,
I don't remember the sequence, Your Honor, how it went. I really don't. All I know is I made one horrible decision after another.
right,
I got involved with somebody that I had no business dealing with,
who?
Mr. Harris,
Okay,
who led me to believe that it would be simple and easy and none of this would happen where I am today. Me being strung out on drugs and desperate like I was,
well, but
I wasn't making,
you didn't cash a check to get money for drugs, did you?
one of the checks, yes.
I thought you cashed it to get an earn.
I used some of the money, yes. My granddaughter at the time during this had passed away. And what led me to come across was I was digging around and I found that checkbook. And I found the checkbook and I asked how I could get money out of this, who would be able to help me with these checks. And I was led to Mr. Harris. And I cashed several checks, Your Honor. And the money I used for drugs and the money I did do something with, but I'm not making an excuse, I'm just telling you what happened. was dealing with a woman I'd been involved with for 10 years, a drug-induced relationship, solely out of convenience, trying to stay on.
See, these checks weren't found by you in a backpack in a building that was unoccupied. These checks were taken from the business. 3 checks were taken from the business. Care to elaborate how they were taken from the business?
That I don't know. That I don't know, Your Honor. I did find the tech company checks. I did find those. The other ones were given to me,
By
With-
who?
Mr. Harris, with the attempt of cashing them.
So now
I
we
didn't
go-
steal the checks from no company or no
So now we
business.
go from, you found them in a backpack in a building that wasn't occupied that you were working at, kept them for a month to several months in
The
the
tech
car,
company.
in the car, and then decided to cash them and called Harris to find out where you could cash them. Now it's, you just found one of them and Harris gave you the other 2.
Yeah, I had the tech companies, and that's how I was led into Mr. Harris, because that's what he was into.
What?
I had the company, the tech company, the TKR tech company. I had that checkbook. I wasn't sure on how to write checks or how to get money
You had
or
a
where to
checkbook.
go.
You had a checkbook, is that what you said?
Yes,
There were 3 checks.
I didn't count the checks, Your Honor.
Oh, Jesus.
And by making the attempt of the TKR tech companies, that's how I was led to do it again.
I don't know what you mean by that.
I found somebody that could help me cash the check, the tech company, and show me where to go to cash it and how to cash
What do you
it.
mean the tech company? You found.
how to write
so,
the check.
So how did you know Harris had 2 checks from TK?
I didn't.
You didn't. It was just a coincidence that you found some and then he had some?
No, it was. I was given his phone number because that's
By
what
who?
by my dealer,
By your dealer. How did your dealer know to give you Harris's phone number?
because that's what the guy's into, I guess, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, what did you discuss with your drug dealer?
I asked him. I said I tried to write checks. I said I have a checkbook. I don't know how to get this money out of this company. Where could I cash the check? He told me to go to a check cashing spot, or I didn't have a vehicle. And I said, well, who, you know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean.
And he gave me this guy's number to call him for a ride. I gave him a ride, and this is what the guy was into.
And
And
Harris
since
just,
I was so willing to
and
cash,
Harris just happened to have 2 of these checks himself from TKR.
no,
You-
those
well,
were
you
in my
just told me
possession.
a couple
Those
minutes
were in
ago.
my possession. The TKRs were in my possession. The other
Yeah,
checks that you're talking about, I don't know where they came from. All I know is I attempted to cash them.
What do you mean, what other checks you didn't know where they came from? What checks?
Well, if there's a Constance and
Well, you said,
the
you
Harden-
told me you wrote them out. You wrote it out to Constance Wagner, right? Isn't that what you told me before I left a little while ago? Didn't you tell me you wrote it out to Constance Wagner and then presented that to try to cash it and they wouldn't cash it?
yeah, that is what happened.
You haven't said one honest thing to me since I walked in here. Your story has changed so many times you can't keep your lies straight. I mean, I know who Dusty Mays is, okay? But you profess not to know who Dusty Mays is. You made a check out to Wagner, you did make a check out to Wagner. Harris had 2 of these checks somehow, and you just hooked up with him through a drug deal. Man, this is one of the single worst stories I've ever heard. So, what else you want to tell me?
I mean, through this, Your Honor, I am confused about these dates and these checks. I know the constants, I don't remember exactly on what order I tried to cash these checks in, or if I even did cash the checks.
I mean, if you're making up a name, somebody to write, to cash a check, Constance Wagner,
That's what I'm saying, the checks were,
Waggoner is a strange name to make up.
those checks were already made and given to me to cash
By who?
by Mr. Harris.
You're the one, you told me that you found them.
I found the TKR tech companies. I found one checkbook. That's how I got involved with this guy to begin with.
Did you give him the checkbook?
I did give him the checkbook.
This is a fluid story.
But I know I attempted to cash the checks, and I don't even remember if the checks were cashed.
So Harris wrote Dusty Mays on it?
I don't even remember writing that, Your Honor.
No, I asked you, did Harris write Dusty Mays? You said Harris filled them out.
Yes, he had to.
He wrote Dusty Mays
Yes,
on it?
yes,
He
I
wrote
didn't.
Constance Wagner on it?
Yes.
I mean, were you dressed up like in a wig or
No,
something that you
no.
appeared to be a female?
No, I was given a fake ID,
A
paperwork.
fake ID of females?
No, it was just my face on it.
Your face on an ID that had Constance Wagner's name on
Yes.
it, and Dusty Mays' name on it.
The Dusty Mays, I don't remember.
I do. I remember her. My guess is you were involved with some females to try to get these checks cashed, and it didn't work. That somebody took them from TKR, not found in a backpack, in a building in Middleburg Heights or Wickliffe. Cleveland Heights, 185th, Ace Cash Express. You're all over the place.
I'm just asking, Your Honor, please give me a chance.
Chance of what?
Chance of proving myself to you and into the court. I apologize for this. Like I said, it was one bad decision after another. I can't even remember. I don't know how I even got involved with these people. I'm not putting nobody else here for. I'm the only one sitting here facing this, and they're all doing whatever they're doing. And through my ignorance and foolish belief that it wasn't as big of a deal as it was, is got me here. And I just don't know what else to say, Your Honor. But I certainly I'm not lying when I tell you I'm truly sorry for what I did. And I just need a break, man.
Constance Wagner, 73-year-old female from Chardon. So it wasn't just a made-up name. You didn't put that name on there, Harris put the name on there, right?
I wrote the checks, Your Honor.
But you told me Harris wrote the checks.
I've signed them,
Harris wrote them and you signed them?
yes. When I was attempting to get the money. Or when I did get them, I can't remember. If they went through or not. If I would have known it was a 73-year-old woman, I wouldn't have even tried to cash the check. Like I said,
What difference does it make who it was?
it don't.
Okay,
It's
so
still
what-
wrong.
So what does that have to do with it, that it was a 73-year-old woman?
Well, with your regards to being a better name or decent, something easier.
Well, nobody just made up the name Constance Wagner
No.
out of thin air.
Like I said, this guy was into this stuff, so he probably had,
You just told me you made out the checks.
I signed the check, Your Honor.
Anything else you want to say?
Please, Your Honor. I just apologize. I just want to apologize, man. I'm not trying to lie to you. It's just the way everything's coming out. It's just I don't understand it anymore. I don't understand what I did first, what I did last, how it was written, if one was cashed or if it wasn't. All I know is I'm in a lot of trouble, and I don't want to go to jail, man.
Yeah, you've been in a lot of trouble doing all similar stuff for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Ms. Gold?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state is asking for a prison sentence. The state does not believe that the defendant is amenable to community control sanctions. He has gone to prison in the past, and on his multiple cases that he has been on community control for, he has had community control violations, including as recently as September of this year for a case that is almost identical to this case, where in January the defendant was convicted of identity fraud and forgery in Cuyahoga County and missed repeated probation appointments. Based on the conduct and the continued conduct in this case and in his other cases, the state believes that prison is the appropriate sentence here. Thank you.
All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report and the drug and alcohol evaluation. I've listened to Mr. Brzezowski, listened to counsel. And clearly not one thing you've said has been true. And you're very experienced at this. And you've been to prison a number of times. So what you attribute as a failed memory because you were high doesn't work.
Your Honor, please, Your Honor.
You're a lousy probationer. You don't do what you're supposed to do because you don't want to do what you're supposed to do. You're doing the same thing in Cuyahoga County. You completely made up a story where these checks came from, how they came to be cashed. I doubt that Antonio Harris is even a real person, okay? So you're not amenable to community control. Count one, I'm going to sentence you to 12 months in prison. Count four, 12 months in prison. They'll be concurrent to one another with credit for 48 days and the costs. When you get out, you might be on post-release control for up to 2 years under the parole authority with conditions. If you violate the conditions, they could send you back to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If your violation's a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation of 12 months or the time left under post-release control, whichever is more. Remaining counts are dismissed. Anything else, Ms. Gold?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Watson?
No, Your Honor.
So you got 12 months.
What was I supposed to say, man? I mean, this is over 2 years ago.
I understand.
I mean, I don't know which check was wrote first, which check was last. And now I'm going to prison?
Got 12 months, he ran them concurrent, and then you got 48 days credit, so it's basically a month and a half, so you got about 10 and a half to go.
All right, go ahead,
I
stand
mean,
up.
what the fuck did he want me to say, man? He's got me talking in circles and will incriminate, want me to tell other people? Like, dude, I got involved with this guy and he's giving me these checks to fucking cash. What more, what?
I'll meet you in the jail so we